Well, Brenton, let's get a couple of the obvious ones out of the way. Jared Petrenko, how did his shoulder hold up, and did you give him a real going on?
Not so much today, but he did train today. And every time I see him, he tells me that he's playing, which is a good sign. I mean, he's really keen, and all the marking sort of drills and that he's been fine with. So we'll certainly pick him, and then we'll probably have to test him on Friday before we fly out. So we'll do that behind closed doors and stuff. But he's a realistic chance of playing. Yeah.
So you feel he's right?
Well, he looks good. Yeah. I mean, he's such a strong kid, and he's like a player that's just desperate to play in a prelim final. So sometimes too, you've obviously got to speak to our medical staff and make a good sort of decision from a coaching point of view. But from the player's point of view, yeah, he's desperate to play.
What's that test involve? You give him a good going over, some hip and shoulders, tackling?
Yeah, tackling and wrestling are probably the ones that we've got to test him out with. But we'll run him through a program on Friday that's controlled. You don't want to test him and then further injure him, because we'd like to win this week and then play the next week. So it's just it's important we get that right as well. But we'll go through that with our fitness staff and our medical team and make sure that we're picking a player that we think there's a low risk of him further injuring himself.
How close does he need to be to 100% for you to take a punt on him?
No, pretty close. I mean, prelim finals, we know they're hard and they're brutal, and they're certainly going to be contested. So you don't want to take players in with injuries over their head.
If he can't, obviously you said Friday morning before you leave, you'll test him behind closed doors. Does he need to prove to you that he can tackle 100%, or is a guy like Petrenko so important to your forward line pressure that he can maybe get away without being totally?
Yeah, well, that's his game as well, and that's one thing that he does do better than almost anyone in the team, and that's provide that tackling pressure. So, yeah, you're spot on. He has to tackle at 100% on Friday to be fit to play.
With blokes like Shaw and Talia and maybe Pup if he gets bad news, how important is it the way that they respond to the adversity?
Yeah, the group's been pretty good this year. Whoever we've brought into the side has played their role. You know, sort of. I know you're never going to replace Dan Talia or Sam Shaw, but we still think we've got guys coming into the side that have played good SNFL football and been good at the level underneath, and guys have come in, slotted in fine, and I'm sure the group has to lift as a whole team anyway. You know, another 5 or 10% to match it in a prelim final. I mean, these games go another level again, and we've seen, and our boys have commented on the pressure that's involved in these matches so far. You know, qualifying finals and semi-finals, but prelim finals are almost the toughest game to win. You know, sometimes structure and setups get thrown out the door, and it's just brutal hard footy, and that's what our guys are expecting.
But the blokes that go out, how important is it that they sort of don't sulk and become still a positive influence around the group?
Oh yeah, the 22 we pick will still be a really solid, strong Adelaide football team that takes the ground. So even though we're going to lose a couple this week, I'm sure we'll put out a really strong side on Saturday night.
How important has Petrenko become to your side?
Yeah, I mean he's critical for our forward setup in that he does provide great forward defensive pressure, but also too he's kicked goals for us this year, and I'd hate to be tackled by him, and I'd hate for him to hit me. He does send the sort of fear of God through the opposition at times, I think, when he's in the area, and when he hits hard.
Are you confident? Is it more than 50-50 bet at this stage, or about that?
Oh, it's better than 50-50 from my point of view, yeah.
Do you think he likes the human cannonball tag?
I think he does, yeah. He does feed off that. I think certainly when you're defining a role of a player, hitting the opposition is certainly high on his list of what his role is. And like I said, I think the guys walk taller when he's out there, so hopefully he plays. If he doesn't, we'll bring someone in that'll certainly be an adequate replacement. But yeah, he's pretty important to us.
What role does Graham Johncock play, Sander? Do you persist with him in attack?
Yeah, we've got the ability to play in both ends though as well. So he's played over 200 games as one of the best small defenders in the competition. We've had better success with him this year as a small forward. You know, 4 points on the weekend. You know, if he kicked straight, would have been a great game from him. But he'll certainly be a tricky matchup for the Hawks as well. You know, either end.
You made a call on Shaw's replacement.
Not as yet. Match committee this afternoon, so we'll pick a squad of 25, and then we'll sort of finalise our 22 in Melbourne on Friday night.
How much does Andy
just one for one, or was a guy like Josh Jenkins come into contention for a spot somewhere in the side?
Yeah, we'll certainly consider Josh as well. You know, there's an opportunity for us to potentially stretch Hawthorn's defence. At different times this year, we've used the 3 tall strategy and it's worked. Other times we've gone that strategy and it hasn't worked. So we'll have a look at the side this afternoon. But once again, we won't finalise that till Friday night.
Simplistically speaking, fans and us in the media just say, oh, Andy Otten and do the defender like-for-like stuff. How much does Andy's lack of, I suppose, AFL footy or footy in general in the last 2 months count against him?
A little bit, yeah, it does, because he has missed, I think he missed 6 games with injury. But he's a good player, you know, he hasn't had his best season as in continuity and been in great form for the entire year, but he's a good player, so if he's the one that comes in, I'm sure he'll play his heart out, and he can certainly play that role that Sam Shaw's been playing this year. So that won't be a major issue for us that he's missed 6 games throughout the year.
Patrick Dangerfield mentioned it the other day when everyone's saying buddy in the Hawthorn lineup. He said, well, what about Taylor Walker? It's gaining a bit of traction over in Melbourne. Is the comparison between the two?
Yep.
What's your take on maybe Franklin v Walker at the same stage of their careers?
Yeah, well, I mean, we acknowledge that Tex has just been so great for us this year. In the games he's played, you know, he's been such a headache for the opposition. And if we get an even contribution from Walker, Tippett, Porplesia, Callanan, Johncock, Petrenko, Douglas, we've got a really dangerous mix down there. So I think sometimes, and same with us when we're preparing to play Hawthorn, you can sometimes just focus too much on stopping Buddy. You know, Rioli can kick goals, Bruce, Gunston. So we've got to make sure that we don't just focus too much energy on just one of Hawthorn's dangerous weapons.
Just on that though, and I appreciate you've spoken about forwards, namely Lance Franklin at a similar age. Can you see some comparisons?
Oh yeah, I mean his best is outstanding. You know, he's been exceptional in so many games for us this year. So yeah, he's been just perfect.
What's your plan for Buddy though? Can one man stop him, or is it going to be a team effort?
No, team effort. We can put one player on him. You can't put 2 players on him because you leave another player free. But at the same time, we rely on defensive pressure up the ground, and we've got to ensure that we've got defensive pressure on the ball coming in. So I think I mentioned after the game last week, you know, Rutten was so grateful for the pressure that our midfielders put on the Fremantle midfielders. If we give Hawthorn time and space, whoever plays on Buddy is just going to have a long night, because the ball will just be put wherever he wants it. So we rely on pressure up the ground to help our defenders, but at the same time, yeah, we need a special effort from someone this week.
I know you pride yourself on winning a lot of the contested footy this year and done well at it, but how important is the uncontested footy on the weekend, given I guess that was an area Hawthorn beat you at in round 3?
Yeah, it's a long time ago, you know, round 3. They took 140 marks against us last time, earlier in the season. So we've come a long way since then, though. You know, I watched that game this week, and it just was a different team. It seemed like us. Well, we've really improved since then. I know Hawthorn have as well, and they're a really good side, and we acknowledge that their best is almost hard to get near. You know, so we have to make sure we pressure them. We put tackling pressure, but also too we do what we do well as well. If that makes sense.
Certainly, your uncontested ball was good against Freo as well, and your handball receives are right up.
Yeah, the ability, I think, to get the ball outside of Fremantle helped us. We've learned in the finals, the 2 finals that we've played, that first 6 quarters that we played, we just can't be one-dimensional in attack. Once we started to get the ball outside and use the ball a bit smarter, we were much harder to play against. Probably in those first 6 quarters we played, we were very, very much one-dimensional in the way we attacked. We just kicked it straight to where the opposition had their numbers. So once we started to flick it around a little bit, get a bit of uncontested ball, like you said, and use each other, we were much harder to play against.
Brenton,
how much emphasis have you put on the starts, given what happened?
Yeah, we've got to start well. I mean, we've got to play 4 quarters this week. We can't flirt with our form at all, and what we'll just do is break it down to 4 30-minute blocks, you know, and make sure that we play our best footy in 4 30-minute blocks. So without looking too far ahead, that starts with the first quarter. And as you said, we've been jumped the last 2 weeks. Hawthorn normally start the game really well, so we've got to ensure that we are ready to go right from the first bounce.
Is it a mindset thing?
It's a little bit of both, yeah. I mean, I think the anxiety and the emotion and the big stage can sometimes get to people, but we've just got to make sure our first contest that we are switched on and ready to go.
As so just touched on then too, of course, obviously you come from 5 goals behind against Freo, and you'll be behind pretty much all day against the Swans. If you give Hawthorn a 4 or 5 goal start at the MCG, it's going to be pretty tough to get back.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, we can't allow Hawthorn to get a decent start on us this week. It's takes too much energy to get back. Then to overrun a side makes it even tougher. And we know Hawthorn's had the 15 or 16 day break into this game, so they're certainly fresh. They're certainly fit. We're coming off 2 hard finals, but I think our guys are ready for this game.
The accuracy in front of goals hurt you a bit in the finals so far. Obviously, John Coffey did 4 behinds last week. Has that been a big focus and stress to the players that really got to know your opportunities?
Yes and no. Sometimes too, when you tell players, you just got to kick your goals, and then they get the ball, they're sitting there, set shot, 80,000 people. It's almost like you've got to block all that out. And we saw with Paul Pleasure, his routine is the same for every set shot that he has. You can track it. It's like a pro golfer, the way they putt. Their routine is the same every time he has a set shot. So good routines and practice routines normally stand up in big games. That's what Paul Pleasure does, and that's what the rest of our team needs to do.
Are Hawthorn the best team left in the comp?
Yeah, good question. It's funny because I love the build-up of prelim finals, and there's 4 teams left, and there's all the speculation and people looking at matchups and who looks better. There's still 4 teams that can win it. It seems really simplistic, but the game will start with the score at 0-0. We'll do everything we possibly can to be at our best. Hopefully our best is good enough. But yeah, we certainly need Hawthorn to not play at their best.
What's your take on no one giving you much of a chance? I mean, yesterday, the day started, Hawthorn about $1.16, you guys about $5.50. At the end of the day, it's about $1.12 to $6.50. The money's still coming for the Hawks.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. I honestly think we can win, and I'm sure you'll have 22 players from Adelaide run out who give themselves a realistic chance as well. So it's a 2-horse race. We'll give everything we've got. We'll fight it right out to the end, and hopefully our good is good enough.
Brenton, have you done anything different with Kurt Tippett this week? Obviously, a bit of attention on him, a bit of criticism from the outside as well. Have you had to handle him a little bit differently, perhaps?
Not so much. I think, it's been a typical week for Kurt, and Mark Bickley's his line coach. I've sat down with him as well. We've sort of talked through and reviewed his game. Some of it wasn't up to the level that we expect from Kurt. Some other stuff that he's doing has been really good. So we do need him to have an improved performance this week, and we certainly can't have too many passengers if we're going to win this match. So we'll need our full 22 guys playing their best this week to win.
How much of a threat just comes into play?
Yeah, he's a good player. He's had a good year. He doesn't get a lot of the ball, but every possession he gets counts, and we'll certainly have to put a good player on him. He's a great. We mentioned before about putting too much focus on Buddy, and then Rioli, Gunston, Bruce. These guys step up, so we'll certainly have a good player playing on Jack.
Just a quick one for our colour story. I heard Kurt was helping with the banner last night. Must be a boost for fans.
Yeah, I did read that. Yeah, he was coming in with a few other boys to help make the banner, which is nice.
Must be a nice fill-up for the supporters to get a hand from the boys that are involved.
Yeah, it is good. I mean, a lot of our guys, they do a lot of stuff behind the scenes which we don't hear about or see, whether it's the visits to hospitals or schools or helping the cheer squad make the banner. All those things make a big difference to our supporters, and I think it's one thing we do pretty well. Our boys are pretty inclusive when it comes to getting around our supporters and teammates.
Brenton Angus from SAFM, mate. A question about Tex. If you do go all the way, like we all know you can, and he decides that he wants to change his haircut for the next season, will you be convincing him to keep the mullet?
I think our fans like the mullet. Yeah, I think the mullet stays. Yeah, win, lose or draw. I think you'll see the mullet stay.